giving me these players. I want the best of the best. I want the upper echelon.
It looked like it's happening. Angel Reese is asking out of Chicago already.
But when you look closer, she's leading the entire WNBA in turnovers, despite missing several weeks of action with injury.
Angel Reese just told the Chicago Tribune she's not settling for the same stuff we did this year and demanded the Sky bring in stars to surround her. Bold words, right? But here's the twist. She's leading the league in turnovers, even after missing weeks of action, and still struggles to finish the simplest layups. And now, she's suspended. Reese called for her teammates to be replaced, but the real question is she the one the Sky need to move on from? Is Angel Reese the biggest illusion in WNBA history? Because one thing's for sure, she's no Caitlin Clark. Drop it in the comments. Are you Team Clark, the baby goat, or Team Reese, the baby giraffe?
Angel Reese officially puts the Chicago Sky on notice. We're not doing the same thing this offseason that we did last offseason. Stop bringing me bums to play with.
This one's heating up fast. What makes this even messier is how it looks. Like Reese wants out. Imagine demanding your teammates get swapped out, only to be the one your franchise might be ready to cut loose. That's exactly the corner Reese backed herself into after her bombshell comments to the Chicago Tribune. She wasn't holding back either. Reese flat out said she wasn't settling for the same stuff again, and doubled down that Chicago needs to bring in good players, great players. But let's be real. That doesn't sound like a franchise cornerstone trying to grow with her squad. That sounded more like a diva putting her whole roster on blast. And the fallout? That interview didn't just ruffle feathers.
Reese is fed up. She's tired of the losing. She's tired of being the gum on the bottom of the shoe of the league. She is fed up with the Chicago Sky, and it looks like Angel Reese wants out. It looks like she wants out.
It reportedly left her own teammates fuming and had veterans across the league calling her out. Word leaked out that Chicago had to call a full-blown locker room sit-down just to calm the storm after Reese's comments. That's not team bonding. That's crisis management. Imagine being a rookie who hasn't proven anything yet, and suddenly half the squad has to gather because of the drama you stirred up. That's not leadership. That's dysfunction at its loudest. And here's where it really got ugly. Reese aimed one of her harshest shots straight at Courtney Vandersloot.
For sports, that the entire team has seen Angel Reese comments and that teammates are unhappy with the direct attacks. A team meeting is planned at which players are expected to address Reese directly.
Keep in mind, Vandersloot was sidelined all season with an ACL tear, but instead of showing respect, Reese brushed her aside like dead weight, hinting she was too old to be part of Chicago's present or future. That stung deep, because Vandersloot isn't just some name on a roster. She's one of the most respected point guards ever, a champion, and a legend at managing the floor. Throwing a player like Vandersloot in the trash doesn't just insult her, it alienates veterans across the league. Everyone knows she's earned her stripes, her rings, and every ounce of respect she gets. Reese acting like she could just sweep her aside? That's pure arrogance, and vets are taking notes.
Can't rely on Courtney to come back at that age that she's at, Reese said. I know she'll be a great asset for us, but we can't rely on that. We need someone probably a little younger with some experience, somebody who's been playing the game and is willing to compete for a championship and has done it before. Courtney Vandersloot, by the way, two-time WNBA champion, five-time All-Star, two-time All-WNBA first team, left the New York Liberty, a championship caliber team, to come help out the Chicago. Oh, damn. Oh, damn, oh, dang, oh, damn. It's all right, Courtney.
And here's the bitter twist. The Chicago front office had already gone out of its way to build around Reese. Don't forget, they gave up Sonia Citron. Yes, the same rookie who's now in the thick of a Rookie of the Year battle and already made the All-Star game in her first season. Chicago sacrificed her to bring in Ariel Atkins, a proven scorer, exactly the kind of established talent Reese supposedly wanted. But instead of gratitude, Reese basically told everyone the roster was never good enough. Imagine, your team sacrifices a future franchise cornerstone for your benefit, and you still act like nothing's ever enough. That's not ambition. That's entitlement on full display. It would have been bad enough if Reese only threw shade at the vets, but she didn't stop there. Even younger teammates like Haley Van Lith caught strays, with Reese hinting the whole squad was either too old, too mid, or too soft. That's not confidence. That's chaos.
Looking spooky in Chicago. Instead of Reese said she doesn't believe her teammates Rachel Berman or Haley Van Lith are capable of leading them to the leading the playoff team. Guard Ariel Atkins is another player on the Sky roster with WNBA championship experience. We are aware of it, Mars stated. We are addressing.
Now the veterans felt disrespected. The younger players felt dismissed, and the locker room turned upside down. Instead of uniting her team, Reese became the common enemy, the one everyone pointed their frustration at. She wanted to rally around her name, but all she got was division aimed straight back at her. And when you look at her actual impact on the court, it's clear why this whole power grab collapsed. If you're going to put yourself above the roster, you better dominate night after night. But Reese, she became the one out of sync, the piece that didn't fit into the very system she was demanding to reshape.
Great players, and I don't know what that will attract that. Maybe the practice facility will attract that. We'll see. But I think the priority is being able to convince free agents that this is an organization that is going in the right direction. I think, honestly, it would be a leap of faith for a great player to come here and show that this is something that they want to be a part of, and we can bring that championship mentality. A leap of faith to think that a great player would want to come to Chicago. Oh, boy.
Here's the brutal irony. Her big vision may have exposed the truth Chicago didn't want to face. The problem might not be the roster she trashed. It might be Angel Reese herself. And the sting cuts deeper knowing that while she kept demanding upgrades, she couldn't even handle the basics, like holding on to the ball. Think about it. What if the player begging for a roster overhaul was actually the anchor dragging her team down? That's the plot twist right here. Sure, on paper she's putting up around 14 to 15 points with double-digit boards, which sounds solid at first glance, but the numbers don't tell the whole messy story. Look closer and the numbers don't lie. Angel Reese is leading the entire WNBA in turnovers, despite missing weeks of action with injury. Let that sink in. She sat out, logged fewer minutes than most stars, and still coughed up the ball more than anyone else.
Angel Reese had to say, I'm not settling for the same shit we did this year. Oh boy. Reese told the Tribune, we have to get good players. We have to get great players. That's a non-negotiable for me. I'm willing and wanting to play with the best. And however I can help to get the best here, that's what I'm going to do this offseason. So it's going to be very, very important this offseason to make sure we attract the best of the best, because we can't settle for what we have this year. Overhaul this.
That's not dominance. That's reckless basketball at its peak. Now, sure, turnovers can happen when a player pushes the pace, but Reese's giveaways weren't about aggression. They exposed impatience, shaky decision-making, and a total lack of control under pressure. And it didn't stop there. Her discipline issues went from bad to flat-out embarrassing, especially with all the technical fouls. Think about it. You don't want your so-called cornerstone leader jawing at refs, losing her cool, and racking up whistles that sabotage her own squad. But Reese hit that threshold faster than anyone, snagging her 8th technical of the season, which by league rules triggered an automatic suspension. And here's the kicker. That suspension didn't come on some quiet weeknight. It landed right before a high-stakes showdown with the Indiana Fever, the very rivalry the league hyped for weeks.
20% of the time, Angel Reese gets her shot blocked inside of 9 feet. And 100% of the time, she's doggy doo-doo. Burn! Give it to the lady in orange. Uh-oh, you're out. Simon didn't say. 101 turnovers in 26 games for our 2K cover. She's a stat stuffer. Bang! At least she always brings the boom. I'll see you tomorrow night.
Fans had circled it. The promos were everywhere. And instead of shining under the spotlight, Reese took herself out of the action. Not for an injury, not for rest, but for striking Aaliyah Edwards in the head during a rebound battle. Intentional or not, the refs made the call, and the league had no choice but to bench her. That's not just a personal embarrassment. That's a self-inflicted wound on her own team at the worst possible moment. The irony here is too wild to ignore. The Chicago Sky supposedly built around Angel Reese, yet the team often looked sharper, hungrier, and flat out more connected when she wasn't even on the court. The ball zipped around, the defense locked in, and sometimes they even stole wins without her. That's the exact opposite of what a star is supposed to bring. Usually, a franchise player elevates everyone else, raising the team's ceiling.
Angel Reese, oh damn, has been assessed with 8 technical fouls, and she will be suspended for Friday game unless it is rescinded. And I'm telling you right now, look, he said it best, her attitude. That mug ain't getting rescinded. Angel Reese has struck out again.
But with Reese, the less she played, the better the Sky seemed to flow, like a so-called franchise player in reverse. That's not a centerpiece, that's a red flag. Ask Sky fans if they believe Reese is really the foundation for the future, and plenty would say she feels more like an anchor weighing them down. She wanted to prove she was the centerpiece, but the results told another story. What good are 15 points and 12 boards if they're buried under sloppy turnovers, endless arguing with refs, and suspensions that hit at the worst possible moments? Watching Reese wasn't watching a savior. It was watching a liability under the spotlight. A player you couldn't depend on when the season's defining games arrived. That kind of instability doesn't just hurt. It exposes a massive contrast across the league. Because while Reese was busy burning bridges and dragging her own team lower, another young star was writing the complete opposite script. And that sets us up perfectly for the real comparison, the leadership and professionalism that Caitlin Clark has already brought to Indiana.
And watching the bottom of your screen. The contact by Reese.
You can see Angel's right hand got Aaliyah Edwards on the head. And if they do, Lisa, I'm okay with that too, because I think you have to officiate these teams very tightly.
So it'll be a technical foul on Angel.
Here's the split that tells the whole story. While Angel Reese was busy throwing shade at her own teammates, Caitlin Clark was doing the exact opposite. Clark has faced more spotlight pressure than almost any player in WNBA history. Every move magnified, every game dissected, every slip-up turned into a headline. Most players would crumble under that kind of microscope, but Clark showed patience and professionalism from day one. Even when sidelined by injury, she didn't disappear. She traveled with the Indiana Fever, sat right on the bench, cheered her squad on, and made sure her presence was felt. That's commitment, that's leadership, and everyone in the building could see it. Meanwhile, Reese, when she got hurt, she vanished, leaving her teammates to grind without her. That contrast couldn't be louder, and Clark's impact went beyond just showing up. She backed it with sportsmanship you don't often see in rising stars.
All her fault. Her teammates stink. They gotta catch that, right? Right! Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? Scooby, put down the butter. Butter pecan! Bang! This time of the year is the best. You got pumpkin spice, football, and Angel Reese layups. Bang! Final play of the game, Angel Reese, clutch Gene! Womp, womp, womp. That's my Barbie! Bang!
A perfect example. She publicly praised Angel Reese's performance in a game, even though the two are painted as rivals. That's right. While Reese kept stirring drama, Clark went out of her way to give credit where she thought it was earned. Think about that difference. Reese used interviews to tear down her own roster, while Clark used hers to lift others up, both teammates and opponents. That's not just maturity, that's leadership in action. And the effect on her team? Unmissable. With Clark running the show, Aaliyah Boston looks freer and more dominant in the paint. Guards like Lexi Hull and Kelsey Mitchell spread out and find cleaner looks because Clark's passing pulls defenses out of position. Her presence makes everyone around her better, and that's what a true star does. Even Sophie Cunningham, known for her hustle, energy, and floor spacing, fits like a glove next to Caitlin Clark's style. And that's the difference. Clark doesn't just get her own buckets, she makes the entire squad run smoother. That's why she led the league in assists last season at over 9 a game. And even this year, Despite missing time with injuries, she's still dishing out well over 8 dimes a night.
Destroy the Chicago Sky in Indianapolis on Saturday. Guess who wasn't there? Angel Reese. Angel Reese declined to travel to Indianapolis, and her coach came out and said something about, she's just focused on her rehab right now, and, she's day to day. We've never had an explanation on what caused the back injury, what's a time frame for her recovery. It's similar to so-and-so's back injury. This is something she struggled with here or there. All we've heard is day-to-day, and Angel Reese.
That's not luck. That's control of the game at the highest level. The media has caught on too. Every article on Indiana these days highlights Clark as the gold standard of professionalism. How she speaks about her teammates, how she supports the locker room, and how her preparation sets the tone for everyone else. Compare that to Angel Reese, who had to scramble and backtrack with an apology after blasting her own roster in that Tribune interview. It's night and day. One player crowned herself a superstar and then told the world her squad wasn't enough. The other, an actual superstar, made the people around her stronger. That's why Indiana fans believe. That's why the Fever feel dangerous. They're not just playing better basketball, they're being led by a 23-year-old who carries herself like a seasoned vet. Clark has built a culture in Indiana that Chicago can't even dream of right now. And when you line it up side by side, Reese's downfall doesn't look like bad luck. It looks like the direct result of her own choices. Just picture it. One franchise player has fans buying tickets months in advance, while the other has teammates holding emergency meetings to manage locker room chaos.
All season long, like they're resilient, they're connected, they pull for each other, they enjoy one another, they celebrate one another, and that stuff alone is good for 10 to 12 points a game. And for this group, the way that they share the ball, how unselfish they are. I mean, I'm really proud of them. It's not been ideal circumstances all season long, but they've shown the character of who they are. They've been resilient. They've responded to adversity, and they continue to elevate one another. And I couldn't be more proud of this group than I am.
Now ask yourself, guess which franchise people are actually excited about? The Indiana Fever are riding real momentum behind Caitlin Clark. Just a year ago, they were stuck in the lottery, but now they're in the playoff mix, landing primetime TV slots and packing arenas to the roof. Meanwhile, in Chicago, Angel Reese has turned what should have been a hopeful rebuild into a full-blown circus. Apologies, complaints, and endless questions with no real answers. Fever fans are dreaming about championships. Sky fans? They're wondering if the front office regrets every single move tied to Reese. That's the brutal difference. And don't forget, Clark even handled her injury stretches with class. She didn't hide at home or vanish when things got tough. She hopped planes, showed up in street clothes, and sat courtside with her teammates to keep them lifted. Contrast that with Reese. When she got hurt, she disappeared, leaving Chicago to fend for itself without any sign of leadership from the player they were supposed to rally around. Her absence only proved what critics had been whispering, that she wasn't all in.
Nothing but a mystery surrounds Angel Reese. Angel Reese has taken this season off to focus on her off-court endeavors and to avoid these losses that the Chicago Sky are accumulating, to avoid them appearing on her resume. Angel Reese doesn't really care about basketball.
Indiana's supporting cast is thriving next to Clark. Aaliyah Boston is blossoming into a superstar in the paint. Lexi Hull is playing with newfound confidence. Kelsey Mitchell is having one of her strongest seasons. And Sophie Cunningham has slid right into the mix like she was built for it. The results speak loud. Record-breaking attendance, merch flying off shelves, and consistent primetime coverage. And Chicago? They're stuck with a measly 10-30 record, constant suspension headlines, and a fan base that's sick of the chaos. Instead of progress, all they see is dysfunction, and all roads point back to Reese's so-called leadership or lack of it. This isn't just two players on different paths. It's two blueprints for what a franchise future looks like. Caitlin Clark has turned Indiana into must-see basketball, lifting her teammates, selling out arenas, and proving she can carry the weight of being the face of the league. That's why the Fever are climbing, why their fans believe, and why her name keeps dominating headlines for all the right reasons. Angel Reese, she's become the cautionary tale.
Back injury. Everybody's questioning it now. And this will be a third straight season where Angel Reese did not finish playing in games, where she just stopped. She just stopped. Some of these injuries, we saw the injuries. We didn't see what happened. What happened?
Instead of building trust, she's burned it. Instead of raising her team, she's dragged it into chaos. And while Clark's jersey is flying off shelves, Chicago fans are left wondering if their so-called franchise player is the biggest gamble gone wrong in recent memory. One player brings stability, hope, and growth. The other brings technicals, drama, and questions that never end. And that's the real verdict. Clark is already shaping the future of the WNBA, while Reese risks being remembered as the one who let it all slip away. And that's where Clark and Reese couldn't be farther apart. Clark's professionalism is exactly why veterans want to play with her, while Reese's constant complaints make stars think twice about even touching Chicago.
I think it just says a lot about who we have as human beings. That was one of the things that we made a priority in the offseason of, who we bring into this organization. Number one, quality human beings, selfless human beings that want to pull for one another, that understand. We have this depth for a reason, and sometimes it creates challenges getting people on the floor. But in situations like this is why you have it. And I'm just, she's right. I mean, as a pro and as a pro coach, this is one of the most connected groups.
The numbers prove it. Indiana wins more when Clark is on the court, but the sky often looks sharper when Reese is sitting. How's that for a reality check? Which leads to the brutal question. Was Angel Reese ever the right bet for Chicago in the first place? She demanded the roster be rebuilt around her, but the irony is the sky might finally realize their biggest problem is her. Because you can't demand greatness while leading the league in turnovers and watching your own team thrive more when you're off the floor. That's not leadership. That's liability. Analysts and fans aren't holding back either. She's already being labeled toxic, with some flat out saying she's a player you cannot build a franchise around. Meanwhile, in Indiana, Caitlin Clark is everything Chicago wishes they had. A professional, team-first star who lifts everyone around her. Add Clark to Boston, Mitchell, Hull, and Cunningham, and the Fever's future looks electric.
Statistics just put belt to ass on Angel Reese and the Chicago Sky. Sonia Citron was out there cooking with hot grease. Stir the pot. Stir the pot. Keep cooking, Sonia. That was a show. She put on a flat-out show versus Angel Reese in the Chicago Sky. Boy, did they ruin Angel Reese's.
Meanwhile, Chicago's future? It's starting to feel painfully disappointing. So let us know. Are you Team Clark, the baby GOAT, or Team Reese, the baby giraffe? Drop it down in the comments, smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss a story like this. Click the video on your screen, and we'll see you in the next one.